I say, hey, 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 on Fox 28 today. It could only happen on Fox.
What is Take One? Join me and my friends, Sean and Suzanne from Pittsburgh and Kenny from Baltimore, for the hottest new show for and about kids. It's Take One, and it's coming at you right here every Saturday morning at 7:30 on the Fox 28 Kids Club. Who knows? He could be the next Kevin Costner. 11-year-old Getty Lee of Circleville, Ohio, is well on his way to a successful acting career. Getty has appeared in a local theater production of The Secret Garden, and this year began his third season acting in the outdoor drama Tecumseh, staged in Chillicothe, Ohio. Tecumseh tells the story of the great Shawnee Indian leader Tecumseh. It highlights the struggles between the British, the Indians, and the Americans of the 1800s and their fight for control of the Northwest Territory. We caught up with Getty and his parents at a Tecumseh rehearsal and asked Getty about his dream of becoming a professional actor.
I actually just came to me. I came here the first year, and I thought it was like really neat to act for people and stuff, and I just said, I'm gonna do that one day and I'll be famous. And
Getty has always been a natural at entertaining. Getty's parents tell us he enjoyed acting and performing in front of friends and family members from the time he was 3 years old.
He's always entertaining and putting on plays, like at family dinners and things. But seriously, when he was 7 and saw Tecumseh for the first time, he said, I'm going to do this.
I like to entertain people, and I just really enjoy it, making people happy and helping them understand, like help them reenact the past and show them what it was like and stuff, and just mostly to entertain people.
For Getty, the opportunity to portray an American Indian was very exciting.
I'm James Bluejacket. I make fun of the prophet in one scene because he's only got one eye.
Even with only one eye, if the sun is shining, you can still be only half blind.
Getty's family has always been fascinated with Native American culture, and Getty shares this interest.
I just think they're really neat because they survived on animals and they made their own tools, and they had totally different language.
I've always had a feeling for the Indian people, and it wasn't until just last year that I found out that my great-grandfather was full-blood Shawnee. So we actually have, blood in this show.
The family involvement in the show doesn't end there. Getty's dad has now performed in Tecumseh for 2 years. This year, he not only acted in Tecumseh, but also trained other actors in the high fall, one of the many stunts performed in the show. He says working side by side with Getty has been a positive experience.
Last year especially, we had a good many scenes together. I had a pretty minor role last year. So we got to do a lot of things together on stage. It's a lot of fun. It is a bonding thing.
It's fun because if, I don't have nobody to talk to, if everybody's on stage or something, my dad's backstage, so I go talk with him and stuff, and it's just fun because I get to be with him a lot.
When Getty is not acting, he spends his time like most boys his age, going to school and hanging out with his friends.
They just treat me like any other kid, and I like that. I don't want people to make a big deal out of it.
But Getty's acting career is a big deal. He takes his dreams seriously, and with his parents' support, he may make it to the big screen one day. Any actor will tell you that opening night is the most exciting and nervous time in any production. There's a lot to do and a lot to remember.
We came in and we got my makeup and we got all the stuff together and we went to company call and we came out backstage to get ready and went to our places and stuff.
Warren, sound QA. Sound QA. Go.
And that music started and my heart just practically stopped.
You could be my co-host. There's only one way to get on Fox 28's hottest show, Take One, Saturday mornings at 7:30 on the Fox 28 Kids Club. You could be the star of your school. You'll experience the glamour of TV while learning your lines and posing for our Take One cameras. Write in and tell us why Take One should come to your school and why you should be our co-host. Send your letters to this address. Good luck, and we'll see you Saturday mornings at 7:30 for Take One. When you first meet Joe Trischler, he seems to be like any other 14-year-old boy. He hangs out with his friends, watches television, and goes to school every day in Granville, Ohio, just outside of the state capital, Columbus. But when school is out, Joe's life changes and his obsession takes over. As early as age 4, Joe could be found plunking out tunes on his first guitar. And as Joe got bigger and better, so did his guitars.
At age 8 is when I really started being serious, because that's when my dad taught me the 3 chords, and I started playing like Nothing But Wild Thing, and other 3-chord songs like Louie Louie and Gloria, and taught me the blues scale, and ever since that I've been improvising. Got my first electric when I was 9 or 10.
So how did his parents feel about Joe going electric at age 10?
His oldest sister, Heather, bought him an electric guitar for one Christmas present against our wishes because we thought, oh no, Joe electrified. And so that was really the beginning of the end right there.
But there was no stopping Joe. Now he could start practicing the tunes of some of his biggest musical influences.
Jimi Hendrix. I'm a Hendrix freak. His style, his technique are flawless. If you listen to his live stuff, he's playing bass with like his thumb, he's playing chords, he's playing melody, he's playing solo all at the same time. And that's why he sounds like about 4 different guitar players. Clapton's good because he's just a master at blues playing. I have a whole bunch of old Clapton records. He's just great. He has so much soul in his playing. Like some guitar players, they're just playing a bunch of notes, you know, like playing fast just to sound just to sound important, but Clapton like plays right from the gut, and I admire that.
Joe isn't shy when it comes to sharing his talent. In fact, when he was just 12, Joe was convinced to enter a local guitar competition. Even though the contest was for up-and-coming guitarists, Joe was still the youngest contestant, but his age wasn't the only thing that separated him from the other competitors.
And Joe doesn't even look like the rest of them. I mean, his hair was short, and I think you're wearing shorts at night, and everybody else wears long hair and tattoos and earrings and everything.
Yeah, he was the only one that didn't have something pierced.
Who would have thought that Joe's performance that night would lead him to a first-place win and an invitation to come back the following year as a judge?
And our #1 winner, the 1992 up-and-coming contest, Joe Tritchler. Joe?
I don't remember much of it, but people tell me that I had this incredible gape on my face because I was just astonished. I just couldn't believe it. I was just sitting there and I couldn't believe this was happening. I figured, okay, Mom, wake me up, you know. Must be dreaming.
The competition the next year was fierce, and after a tough night of judging, Joe decided to take a breather by showing off with a solo of his own. Has all this attention had any negative effects on Joe? Well, according to his parents, success hasn't spoiled him yet, and they don't believe it ever will.
In the beginning, I was really afraid that Joe would get swept away by the mentality of the hard rock environment. But after watching him over the past couple of years interacting with the same group here, it doesn't bother me at all because he's still my regular kid Joe.
As surprising as it may seem, this regular kid has no plans to become a professional musician. He says that playing the guitar is a great hobby for anyone interested in music. But he has some words of advice for aspiring guitarists.
Don't play anything that's not yourself. Guitar playing is supposed to make you happy. It's supposed to be fun. And a lot of people these days are taking it way too seriously. I like playing guitar playing. I can't put it down.
We've told you a lot about Joe and his talent. Now it's time for you to see for yourself. Here he is performing a medley of musical styles. Let's take a look. Calling all Cecil B. DeMille's and Steven Spielberg's. Take One is looking for your best short feature film efforts. Now's your chance to write, direct, edit, and star in your very own movie. So send your masterpiece, no longer than 5 minutes, please, to Take One Movies at this address. The winners will win a Take One t-shirt, and they'll see their movie premiere on Take One Saturday mornings at 7:30. This may look like a scene from an old Western, but it's really a beautiful summer weekend in rural Loudonville, Ohio. Native Americans from many tribes are preparing for a powwow. You may think of a powwow as an old-fashioned meeting between Indians and settlers, but this is a modern-day powwow, and these are modern Native Americans. Robert White Eagle is a Cherokee Indian from Oklahoma. He and his family, including 9-year-old son Lance Quiver, traveled to powwows across the country. Robert explains why Native Americans gather to share their culture and celebrate their heritage.
Powwows are a very old tradition amongst the people. Long before there were any other peoples here, many times in the fall of the year, the early fall, the people would get together because the hunts were over, our crops were up from the ground, and all of the people came together. And when the people came together, it was cause for celebration.
Powwows are held all over the country. People who are interested in learning about Native culture can come to see dances, hear stories and legends, and watch Native craftsmen at work.
And I think more and more Americans, and that's why there are people here at this powwow, they want to know the truth. They are curious, but when they leave here, they are enlightened.
Zach Brownbear is one of the craftsmen powwow visitors have a chance to meet and talk to.
I've been doing powwows most of my life, and it gives me great pleasure to be with other Indians, brothers and sisters. I like to hear the drum out there. I like to hear the singing.
Zach is a feathersmith. He makes ladies' hair ties from hundreds of feathers. The ties are round because the circle has great significance to Native Americans.
This round disc here is a symbol of Mother Earth because everything comes from her directly or indirectly. Food, shelter, clothing, whatever comes from the earth.
George Whitewolf is a Sioux Indian. He makes traditional clothing mostly from leather and furs. He explained the Indians' beliefs about the relationship between man and animals.
All animals are sacred and all things are sacred, but it doesn't mean that we don't use them. It does mean that we don't abuse them, but we do have a use. People say to today's world, well, you shouldn't kill deer and you shouldn't kill coyotes, or you shouldn't kill foxes and such, any kind of animals. But in Indian culture, all things are sacred, and we feel you shouldn't cut down the trees and destroy the trees to make wood for houses to make a profit. So we feel that all things are sacred.
Dancing has always been a large part of Native American culture. Music and dancing were almost always a part of Native ceremonies. Today, dance competitions are common at powwows, but their participants make sure that the tradition and culture of their ancestors is preserved.
The dances that you see at a powwow are what we call social dances. We do not perform any religious dances, no special ceremonials.
Everyone from the very smallest to those who have been dancing for decades joins in the competition. The dancers wear special costumes similar to the clothing worn by their ancestors.
This is a breechcloth. Usually they would have this on, because the leggings just came up here, so sort of like shorts, And this is a beaded, yoke. My sister gave this to my brother and he just gave it to me. And under this, I have a breastplate, a bone and bead breastplate. And under that, I have my dance shirt. I have some leather shoes on called moccasins.
The music is played live by a band called a drum. The drum sings and plays traditional Native American music. They may sound the same to you, but listen closely because each song is different.
As you listen to the drumming and so on, it sort of gets into you. I mean, you don't have to be a Native American. This is your heart. All of the native drum beats, for the greatest majority of the drum beats, is the pulsating of your heart, that 1-2 rhythm of the drum.
Dancing is passed down from generation to generation among Native Americans. Robert's son Lance started learning to dance from his father and brother as soon as he could walk. But Lance's favorite dance to perform is one he made up himself.
The coyote dance, I made it up to honor one of my friends. He gave me a coyote, and I wear that on my head when I dance.
Another native tradition being preserved and shared at the powwow is that of storytelling. Long ago, elders of the tribe would tell legends to the children as a kind of school.
He freed himself from the ice, but when he turned around and looked, he just had a little stubby tail. When you see a bear today, long ago, of course, we had no schools as we know schools today. The child learned by repetition. The child learned by watching an elder, and this is how the child was educated. But in order to teach him morals, in order to teach him honor, in order to teach him respect, we had many legends. And these legends were told by the elders, the wise ones.
Today, the elders have taken on the task of not only teaching the native children, but also of educating people like you and me. They're keeping alive the traditional beliefs of their ancestors. Who knows, maybe there's a powwow coming to your neighborhood this summer. I'm here at COSI, Ohio's Center of Science and Industry in Columbus, to find out what it was like in the olden days. I like the clothes, but she's kind of quiet, don't you think? I'm here in a reproduction of the home of Lucas Sullivan. In 1797, Lucas Sullivan founded a small village called Franklinton, which grew into what is now Columbus, Ohio. Looking around the room, you'll find things from the early 1800s. Wouldn't it be great to live back in the 1800s? Wouldn't you love to know what it was like? Well, let's find out. Come with me as we take a walk through the streets of yesteryear. Wow, an old-fashioned candle shop. You know, back in the 1800s, they didn't have electricity or light bulbs, so candles were a major light source. Let's find out how they make them. How do you make candles?
Well, we start with a wick that is produced from cotton. We dip the wick into hot wax, and we have to let it dry a minute between dippings.
No, wait a minute. That's a little too thin. I think of candles, they're pretty wide.
You're right, Susie. We have to dip that over 30 or 40 times to get a good-sized candle like you're used to looking at.
Now, what's that wax made of?
Well, the wax that we're using today is made from bayberries. Bayberries are the little tiny berries that you see on the plant up there. The bayberry is melted down, and the wax is skimmed off the top, and it takes over 20 pounds of those berries to produce 1 pound of wax.
Wow, now I know how to make candles. Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Paper making. Wow, you're actually making paper, huh?
Yes, we are.
How do you make paper?
Well, this is how we do it. First, we take this screen and frame, and we dip it right down into the pulp.
Pulp? Now, what's the pulp made out of?
The pulp is made out of cotton cloth, like your shirt or mine. The next thing we do is we take this frame off, and we add a piece of felt to the top. Then we take a pressing board, and we squeeze some of the water out. Then we press the underside of the paper.
There you have it.
Yeah, and then we just take this felt and paper, and we put it on the rest of it, on the rest of the other piece of felt and paper, just like a sandwich. And after we have 144 of those, we put them in the paper press and squeeze them dry.
How long till they dry completely?
24 hours.
And it looks like this, huh?
That's your finished product.
Can I take this with me?
Sure you can.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
In the 1800s, they did use printing presses to print newspapers and handbills. Let's see if we can print something on this paper that was just made. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Can you print something for me?
Yes, we can.
Now, how does this work?
Well, the first thing which we have to do is put each individual letter in our chase.
Oh, I know what I want to say. May I?
Yes, you may.
Okay. There we go.
Okay.
Now, why is it backwards?
Well, the reason why it's backwards is because when you print it out on this piece of paper, you'll have the mirror reflection.
Okay, what happens next?
Well, I'm going to ink up my proofing press.
Now it gets messy, huh?
Yes, it does.
Oh, I see how this works. Okay, now you need this.
Yep.
I knew it.
I'm going to place this down here,
Okay.
and I'm going to run it through my proofing press.
Oh,
And here we have it, the finished copy.
wow. This looks great. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
The tinsmith's product was in great demand during the early 19th century, primarily for food storage, but also for decorative items and lamps. Let's meet the local tinsmith. Hi, how are you?
Fine.
What are you working on today?
I'm making small whistles as a toy for the young ones in the neighborhood.
Oh, that's fun. What else do you do here?
Oh, buckets and cups, candle holders, lighting devices, things people need around the house.
Okay, how do you make that whistle?
Well, we use the shears here to cut out these strips of metal and then cut and shape the whistle until it's ready to use. Just one more bend right here. This one's almost done. I've got one here that I tried out a little bit earlier. I think it will work pretty well. If it does work, you can have it. Just tell the young ones in the neighborhood where you got it.
Okay, let me try it. Wow, does that
Great.
work? Thank you. Hi, what are you working on?
Oh, I'm spinning wool today.
Oh, really? How do you do that?
Well, first of all, I take some of the fresh wool and I place it onto these carding combs to help straighten it out and to take some of the really big pieces of dirt out of it.
I'm gonna give it a try here. Oh, that's tough.
Yep, this was the kids' job.
Really?
Why don't I show you how we spin it into yarn?
Yes, how do you do that?
Well, we take the wool and we attach it, and as the wool comes off the end of the spindle, it twists the wool into yarn.
What do you make out of all this wool?
Well, we make things such as this hat, for instance.
Okay.
We also make sweaters and bed sheets and quilts and just about everything.
Well, I'll let you get back to your work. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Boy, that was great learning about life back in the 1800s. Isn't it amazing what we take for granted today? I think I'll stay right here, though. What do you think? For Take One, this is Susie. I'll see you next time.